Uh, I know they won, but yeah, I'm not going to be negative against the team as a whole, but I'll be a little negative, but I think I mainly want to praise individuals here because there were some great individual efforts from the Titans. I still don't think they know how to play as a team for 60 minutes, but God damn it, there were some real big individual efforts. Mo and Tino, I mean, the regular customers there. And here's where my little bit of a negative comes into it because I know he was injured there for a couple of weeks, but which geek decided to keep Jaden Campbell out of the side for extra recovery or whatever and have him play and I think win man of the match 3 weeks in a row in Q Cup or whatever because he clearly should be playing first grade. He's also the player that they've invested into heavily. He should be there if fit and healthy, and I think he proved that. My man Corey Thompson also coming back was really good, I thought as well. And it's weird because one prediction I made last week was that I thought the Dragons 2-5 were going to dominate the Titans. And I think they really were dominant as a whole in this game, but they just couldn't really run away with it. They just couldn't beat that factor that they sort of kicked on with. I think a lot of that does come down to the effort in the forwards from Mo and Tino, but also the likes of Bo Firma as well, Jared Wallace as well for the Titans. Tyrell Sloan, it's great to see him back. I think if he doesn't keep his spot in first grade after this week, then...
Spoilers, he doesn't.
I'm not sure the St George Illawarra fans would be as keen to see him back, to be honest. I thought there was quite a couple of moments, glaring moments there for poor Tyrone.
There were a couple,
Tyrell, sorry.
A couple of moments, I'd say like a couple of shit errors, etc. But I thought overall, in terms of what he offers in attack, especially compared to Mbai in the position, I don't know. Again, he's younger than me.
Then they put Mbai in at hooker, and he was the worst player on the fucking field.
Exactly. Anyway. Where do you play Mbai? Like,
he's great with Jaden Campbell. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Overall, I think the Titans were again. It was a golden point game, so it was very close. Overall, I think though what did get it home for the Titans was the efforts of those couple of individuals, predominantly the individual efforts from the forwards.
Well, my slip of the week almost went to a bloke in that I overheard talking about how this was one of the most entertaining games of the fucking weekend. Yeah. To me, this was one of the most fucking boring games of the weekend. It was very little enterprise from both teams who decided they looked like they were just going to ruck it out for 60 minutes of this game. Obviously the scoreline kept the match entertaining, and when it goes to golden point, it adds that extra bit of excitement. But to me, there was very little football played in this game. But what was played was tough. It was back and forward through the middle. Very similar football from both teams, I thought. One out running, looking for an offload, which generally didn't eventuate. And then three blokes sort of wrestled with someone to the ground and slow play the balls. But there was bugger all impact from both teams off the bench, which I noticed a lot in this weekend. And I've mentioned it quite a few times this year, which to me just screams a lack of depth in the competition, which may have been something that our host may have repeated ad nauseum at the end of last season, especially when it was announced that there was another team coming into the competition. But
I'll wait till Perth said that'll be red hot.
We'll see how that plays.
WA blokes running down the
field. Can't wait.
I thought this was probably one of the best performances out of the Titans pack that we've seen for the entire year. And if they don't keep this starting pack for the rest of the year, Justin Holbrook should just fucking walk away from the competition because they were fantastic. You already mentioned them all. The only one I think you left out was Louis, and he was fantastic as well in the second row there. So, the Titans won it through the guts. They were way, way better in the middle of the pack. Gumps mentioned it again at nauseum about how small this St George Illawarra pack, and they were dominated by this quite large pack from the Titans. The most entertaining point of this game, I thought, was Aaron Woods going for a run up the middle of the field, and the hookers just ducked in behind him, and he's 10 meters into the St George attacking line, into the Titans attacking line. But that was a good moment for me. You mentioned all the forwards. I thought Francis Molo for the Dragons was pretty good, as was Jack de Belin. He seems to be He's not back at his best, but I've mentioned him the last couple of weeks, and he's been pretty good for him. Sims as well was okay, but they've just got too many passengers in this Dragons team. There's too many blokes just bludgeon, and they're not putting in more than probably 20 minutes effort in the entire game, and that's what lost them this game. The returning fullbacks for either side, as we mentioned, I thought it was a knockout victory to Jaden Campbell. He was so much better than Tyrell Sloan. Tyrell Sloan really, looking back now, I screamed bloody murder when he was dropped to begin with. And yeah, he's got an upside in attack, but from what I saw in his defensive positioning, especially close to the line in this game, it was very poor. And there was once or twice where he put himself in the line on on the goal line and basically just got run over. And there was points for the Titans. So,
Callum?
Yeah, I like the boys said. They've covered a lot, but a really strange game. Like just weird. I just want to say one thing. I don't want to be harsh on the young kid, but Amane, sort yourself out, buddy. Not only for that drop at the end, right? They had the field goal in Golden Point. They were set up they were a long way out. They were about 30 odd out. He gets the ball. Ben Hunt goes, yep, hit it up, mate. Now he runs off to the side trying to do flick passes, and then Lomax has to take the field goal from the sideline. I just think, you're a young kid. I understand. Just sort yourself out, all right? And just get on with a bit of footy, mate. Because I don't know. That drop at the end was just, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yep, no, fair. Look, it's pretty simple. Everyone's covered off enough. This Titans don't win the game if it's not for Fodawaker and Fasu and Mawali. So they get my 3 and 2 respectively, and I'll give 1 to Campbell, but I'm not going to go on a car. It was about how he's the next saviour of fullbacks in the competition.
That Blakey Bowl.
And
Sexton was a lot better than what he was in the last
absolutely.
few weeks.
Actually,
and
his kicks were good.
He was quite dominant with his kicking game.
Yeah, his kicking was good. I'm happy to give Toby 1 if you like.
Yeah, well, I had Mo, Tino, and then I either had Hunt, Sexton, or Jaden Campbell for the 1. So, but
give it to Sexton. Actually, I think that was his best game. Cool. Let's move on. And do we need to? The only thing I'll say is that you're right about Dragons Barn in that they've won a few games this year on the back of Ben Hunt getting him home in close games where they've been playing average opposition. As other teams keep improving, they're going to steamroll this Dragons team.
Yeah, well, Bird was generally pretty good for most of the year, but he was very average in this game.
Yeah.
I already mentioned Mbai. He was probably the worst, second worst performance of the weekend. I'll save one for the Sharks, who was the worst performer in that game. And Maguire's just a liability. He just becomes a liability pretty much every second game. He has a good game, and then he gets himself sent off, or he cracks 4 blokes around the head. And,